What does it take to change the world? Not always armies or kings, sometimes it's just an idea. A belief that people should be free, that nations should govern themselves, that everyone deserves dignity. These ideas, once planted, can topple empires and build new nations. This is the story of revolutionaries, ordinary people who risked everything for a different future. Their journey was never easy, filled with doubt, danger, and sacrifice. They weren't born heroes. They simply refused to accept injustice. They faced ancient systems, persuaded others, and inspired hope in the darkest times. These revolutionaries were flawed, complex, but united by a belief that the world could be better, and that they could help make it so. Their stories span continents and centuries, from North America to Paris, India to Russia. Each revolution was unique, shaped by its own culture and challenges, yet all connected in the human struggle for freedom and justice. The American Revolution inspired the French, whose ideals echoed worldwide. Each revolutionary learned from those before, building on triumphs and mistakes. This isn't just a tale of famous names, it's about the power of conviction, how a single voice can become a chorus, and a small act of defiance can ignite a nation. By understanding their struggles, we understand the world they helped create, and maybe we'll see how their revolutions still shape our lives today. In the 1770s, American colonists, farmers, merchants, craftsmen, lived under British rule, taxed without a voice. The radical idea of self-governance began to spread. George Washington, a Virginia planter and former British officer, found himself at the center of this storm. He wasn't a natural revolutionary, but he believed the colonies deserved their own future. The Declaration of Independence in 1776 declared all men are created equal, a direct challenge to monarchy. Washington led a ragtag army against the world's mightiest military, keeping hope alive through brutal winters and defeats. His greatest strength was his character, holding the army together when others lost faith. The revolution wasn't just about independence, it was about creating a new kind of nation. After victory, some wanted Washington to be king. He refused, believing power belonged to the people. His decision to step down was revolutionary. He set the precedent for a government of the people. As the first president, he knew the world was watching. Washington was a reluctant revolutionary, accepting responsibility, not seeking power. He guided fragile colonies through war and helped lay the foundation for a nation built on liberty. His leadership proved revolution could create something lasting. The American experiment became a model for others. Washington's legacy, a republic where power comes from the people, the world would never be the same. Soon after America's independence, revolution swept through France. In 1789, deep inequality divided the nation. Nobles and clergy lived in luxury, while the common people suffered. Inspired by American ideals, the French questioned the divine right of kings and imagined a nation ruled by citizens. The storming of the Bastille became a symbol of revolt. The revolution's slogan, Liberté, Égalité, Fraternité, liberty, equality, fraternity. The Declaration of the Rights of Man proclaimed freedom and equality, challenging Europe's old order. But the revolution turned chaotic and violent, with leaders like Robespierre unleashing the reign of terror. Thousands, including the king and queen, were executed. The French Revolution showed how hard it is to dismantle an old system, and how ideals can be twisted by fear. It left Europe forever changed, and raised the question, what is the true price of liberty? From the chaos of the French Revolution, Napoleon Bonaparte emerged. A brilliant strategist from Corsica, he rose through the ranks as the revolution opened doors for talent. France, exhausted by violence, craved order. Napoleon delivered. In 1799 he seized power, calling himself First Consul, promising to uphold revolutionary ideals while restoring stability. His Napoleonic Code enshrined equality before the law and religious toleration, influencing legal systems worldwide. But ambition drove him further. By 1804, he crowned himself emperor. He spread revolutionary ideas across Europe, but at the point of a sword. Napoleon was both a child of the revolution and its destroyer, consolidating reforms but suppressing liberty and waging endless war. His reign ended in defeat, but his impact was permanent. He showed how one person's ambition could reshape a continent. Napoleon's paradox revolution can create order but also new forms of power. The desire for security can eclipse freedom. His legacy, a Europe forever changed by the force of will. The revolution's ideals survived, even as empires rose and fell. Across the world and a century later, a new revolution took shape, one without guns or armies. In India, Mohandas Gandhi led the struggle for independence from the British Empire. Gandhi, shaped by discrimination in South Africa, developed satyagraha, truth force, or nonviolent resistance. He believed injustice could be fought without violence. Gandhi organized boycotts of British goods, urging Indians to spin their own cloth, a symbol of economic independence. His Salt March in 1930, defying British salt laws, inspired thousands and exposed the moral weakness of colonial rule. Gandhi's revolution was of the spirit. He lived simply, identified with the poor, and drew power from moral authority. He faced arrest, division, and immense challenges, but inspired millions. His message, courage, and conviction can bring down an empire. In 1947, India achieved independence. Gandhi proved that non-violence could be a revolutionary force. His legacy inspired movements for justice worldwide. The Quiet Revolution changed the course of history. Gandhi's example, true power, lies in the strength of the spirit. The world learned that change need not come through violence. While Gandhi preached non-violence, Russia was on the brink of a violent revolution. The Russian Empire, ruled by Tsar Nicholas II, was plagued by poverty and war. World War I pushed the nation to collapse, millions died, and hunger spread. Vladimir Lenin, a professional revolutionary inspired by Marx, led the Bolsheviks. In October 1917, they seized power in a swift coup, not a mass uprising, but a determined takeover. Lenin's promise, peace, land, and bread, simple, powerful, and irresistible to the suffering masses. The Bolsheviks nationalized land and industry, aiming to build the world's first communist state. The revolution was radical, seeking to erase social classes and private property. But it came at a terrible cost: civil war, terror, and repression. Lenin's revolution showed that a small, organized group could remake a nation. The Soviet Union emerged, shaping global politics for decades. The Russian Revolution offered a new vision and a warning about the price of radical change. It inspired hope and fear around the world. The world order would never be the same. Leading a revolution is a crushing burden. Washington held together a fragile army and a fragile dream, knowing defeat could end it all. French leaders like Robespierre faced chaos and paranoia, sacrificing liberty in the name of survival. Gandhi's challenge was to keep millions disciplined and non-violent. Any violence could destroy his movement. He fasted, called off protests, and struggled to unite a divided nation. Lenin had to turn radical theory into reality, building a new state amid civil war and opposition. He used terror, compromise, and force to keep the revolution alive. Each leader faced impossible choices, balancing ideals with survival. The burden was not just political but deeply personal. Their struggles reveal the true cost of change. Leadership in revolution means carrying the hopes and the fears of millions. The price of transformation is always high. The impact of these revolutionaries didn't end with their lives. Their ideas echoed worldwide, inspiring new movements for change. The American Revolution became a model for nations seeking self-government. The French Revolution fueled nationalism and liberalism, inspiring unification and rights movements across Europe. Gandhi's nonviolence shaped the American civil rights movement. Dr. King drew directly from his example. Satyagraha became a tool for justice in South Africa and beyond. The Russian Revolution offered a new political model, inspiring communist movements in China, Vietnam, and Cuba. The world split into rival camps, democracy and communism, shaping the Cold War. These revolutions created powerful new visions for society. Their legacies still shape our world. The stories of these revolutionaries remind us, history is shaped by those who dare to imagine a different world. Washington, the French, Gandhi, Lenin, all challenged the status quo, facing impossible odds and unleashing forces they couldn't always control. Their legacies are complex: liberty and slavery, rights and terror, nonviolence and partition, utopia and repression. Yet their struggles changed the course of history. The ideas of democracy, rights and equality are now global conversations because they were fought for. The debates they started continue. How do we balance liberty and security, equality and freedom, change and peace? The lesson: change is possible. The world as it is not the world as it must be. The future is unwritten. The struggle for a better world continues. the spark of an idea can still ignite a fire. Their legacy is a living inheritance, a challenge to us all. What world will we create next?